Hi, I'm Scott,
And I'm Andrew, and thank you for joining us for Hebrews Podcast
where we talk about our personal experiences being dads in the day-to-day life of raising kids.
and coffee.
Lots of
Lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going over there?
It's going. It's a morning, and
It's a morning.
good because there's coffee, and
It's coffee.
life is good, and yeah.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
That's good.
Doing fine.
That's good.
Yes.
I'm excited to be chatting again today, and we got a little deeper topic today.
A little bit.
But
Would
but before we get into that,
Sure.
we do have a new flavor coffee.
Oh, okay. So we didn't do anything special.
No.
Did we mention last week we were going to try something scientific?
Yeah, but that didn't. It didn't.
We'll do that when we have the time to do
Yes.
that. Today was more like a rush. We have a topic in mind and we want to talk about this.
Yes.
And, we
Yeah.
didn't really have time in the morning to prepare.
to really
all
and
the
figure
science.
figure out if, is this even going to work? Is it not going to work? But we did the old the bun coffee machine here at the church office.
Good old drip coffee.
which isn't like.
Every good and perfect thing comes from above, right?
Yes, it does. But I've never really had any complaints with the bun. I don't know what it is about like the bun coffee making. Like it where if you get like just the cheap, like not Black and Decker, what's the generic coffee pot? Is it Black
Coffee
and
pot?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I can't remember.
I mean, Black and Decker do things like that.
Yeah,
So
but anyways, the one that's like $20 at Walmart, like those usually it's like
it smells
hit or
like
miss.
burning plastic.
Yeah, but
It
these
tastes
are.
like burning plastic.
But this is also like a couple $100 thing.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah,
anyways,
it's an industrial machine.
Yeah.
It's not a
yeah. So we got the bun coffee
yeah.
brewing, and so we got a new flavor thanks to my in-laws. And it is from Campfire Coffee up in Negaunee, Michigan.
Ooh.
That they, I don't know if they make their own beans like we had talked about we want to do that we found out we can't do.
No, apparently
sadly.
it takes a little bit
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years before
they even start to
even-
produce.
right, and that's like a coffee bean. But anyways,
Yeah.
but they do roast their own beans. And so this
Boom,
you got roasted. This particular roast was done on February 13th.
Ooh,
So
nice
it's
and
not even a
recent.
month old.
No.
And the blend is called Irontown Blend. Partially because up in the
Iron.
UP, yeah, the iron.
They're famous for iron up there, huh?
Yep. They supply a lot of the I think one of their bigger ones. Don't quote me on it, but I thought my father-in-law said one of the bigger producers of iron. I don't think it's statewide, but definitely within the region, which
Okay.
is pretty cool. Or not statewide, nationwide is what I meant. But
Nationwide. Sorry.
so
My brain works in
So, yeah.
jingles and music.
it's a rich and chocolatey tasting note. And the origin of the beans is, I'm not even going to try to say this name, but it's from a Guatemalan city. So it's going to be pretty good.
Guatemalan.
It's a medium roast level. Thank you, Campfire Coffee.
take a
And thank you,
sip.
my in-laws, for my birthday present.
Smells delicious. Tastes good. Still hot.
It
but not
does have
too
that.
hot.
It does. The chocolate definitely.
Chocolatey, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good, though.
Nice and hot. It's a good temperature.
That's good. That's definitely going to be one that I keep around for a while and get a couple more bags. And I got a sticker. They have stickers. So, and I love stickers.
You
I
do
put
love stickers.
on.
I don't know
Yeah.
people that don't like stickers.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I've just gotten back into because I'd never really had a place to put them. And I was like, I don't want to be like that guy that has them all over their water bottle. I'm like, I'm going to be that guy now. So
Be that guy.
my water bottle's covered. My computer case is starting to get covered. But yeah, so this coffee's good. I'm excited.
Sorry, I got a new mic arm, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this so I can see
Yeah.
Andrew and also talk
And
at
talk.
the same time.
Yeah. We actually have some exciting stuff coming to the
Yes,
podcast.
you'll have to watch and
fairly
see.
soon. Yeah.
Fairly soon.
We're not going to give away anything.
No, you would have knew today, but my daughter is sick.
Yeah.
So
thus is life. But
yeah, kids get sick all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. Especially when they're at school and everybody in school is sick.
Yep, petri dishes.
Like 2 weeks ago, she was telling me that 6 kids in her class were out with the stomach. Like all of them. I was like,
well, and there is a pretty decent. I don't want to say decent because that makes it seem like it's a good thing. there is a stomach bug that's been plaguing the U.S. really.
Yeah,
like
it's everywhere.
I mean, my siblings, my sister, I was talking to her about it, and they've got it in their school, and that's all the way in Michigan. And obviously we've got it here in Wisconsin.
this is the second time in like 10 days she's had it.
Oof, poor kid.
Luckily, it goes by real fast. Like the next day, she
Yeah.
was done by like the afternoon, and she was fine, back to herself. So we're kind of crossing our fingers for that this time too.
Yeah. So my week it's been a week. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's also been like good. Like I got to hang out with a couple students.
Yeah.
We went to a student and a dad actually.
Not me.
We went to oh goodness, I'm blanking on the places. Badger Sports Park, something like that. But they have laser tag, they have go-karts, they have the arcade games. It was super fun just to be able to hang out with them and chat and play some laser tag. And apparently there was some really good deal. I didn't even know this when we went there, but they had like some spring break deal.
Ooh, spring
and so
break.
we got a pretty good deal on some games. And
Are the
laser
students
tag.
on spring break now?
No. So and it's weird. I wonder if they run it up through spring break because it's in Appleton, but I'm pretty sure the Appleton schools are not on spring break yet. Because
I don't think they're that far off from
right.
Most schools have it the same week or the week after. But
Right.
we're still pretty
It's
far
usually the week before or the week after Easter, or within like a week or two of that.
Yeah.
But this would be like a whole month before. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
we still
not-
got a ways to go.
Yeah, but it was still pretty cool. And their laser tag, oh my goodness! Like I'm used to like you can just run around and shoot each other, but they had like different missions and their blasters, I guess, because you can't really call them guns because it's not really a laser gun, but it's a laser blaster. But you can do a bunch of different modes on it. So anyways, all that to say, it was super fun, and I'm definitely going to be going back.
So I got a little story about laser tag. Back when I lived in New Hampshire, we had a super fantastic outdoor laser tag.
Outdoor,
and it was like they were like, we help the Marines train for missions and stuff, and like they have weighted vests. They were really heavy. The guns were like weighted.
Yeah,
and they like were shaped real and stuff.
Yeah,
and it was like all outdoors, and you hid behind rocks and trees, and you had missions to capture the flags. And
that's pretty cool.
It was intense.
That I mean, I guess it makes sense on the East Coast, like with that training aspect. But I've not seen, the only thing I've seen close to that is what's it called in Green Bay, but it's something similar, but it's all indoors instead. Sure. But the guns don't look like a real M4 or something. Yeah. But in this case, because I've seen some of these before,
it was just like that.
It's an M4, but it has a laser in it, obviously.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
How was your week?
My week was it was good. We had some friends over, and I had the very proud dad moment. So I'm going to say this. It's going to be weird for Andrew here because it was him and his wife that were over our house, and he's heard the story. So this is for your benefit.
It's a good one.
There's 2 different ones that I don't think I'm going to tell one of them. But another one was Nina was explaining to Andrew and Eleni about a optometrist that does kids' eyes. Mm-hmm. And Nina's phrased it that said they do children's eyes. And Olivia points out do and laughs instantly.
I was like yes!
Right off the bat. I was like, this is a good kid. I raised her right.
And I didn't even, I was going to wait because I giggled a little.
I didn't catch it at first, but
I giggled, but I was going to say something, but then Liv said it because I wanted to, see if Liv noticed.
She did. Yeah, she did. She's a great kid. She's funny. So that was a great time. And we had a blast with you and Eleni and RJ over.
It's always fun. So last night, actually, if I think we've mentioned it on the podcast before, we kind of have a somewhat staged marriage, not fully
with our children.
Yeah, but we joke.
You and Eleni got
we joke about it, and so we were. Lainey's sister was over last night, just hanging out with us and Rylan, and she's holding Rylan by the fridge, and she's pointing at people on the fridge because we've got postcards and stuff, or not postcards, but Christmas cards actually still. And I was like, "Hey Rylan, where's Eliza?" and he pointed right to her. I
All
was
right.
like, oh.
Yeah, it was really sweet when they were saying goodbye, and she was just like petting his hair.
Yeah.
He walked away, and she got sad.
So, but other than that, your week's been good? No?
Yeah. Let's see. What else did I do? I don't even know. I knew I wanted to share that story because that was great.
Yeah. I feel like it's just been one of those spring
It's been a
weeks.
kind of tough week for emotional reasons. We'll kind of get into it in a little bit. But past that, let's see. No, nothing. Sports are back up and roaring. Baseball's starting.
Getting me excited for blitzball. The snow's starting to go away.
Snow's starting to go away. What do you?
Well, it's melting. I didn't do half my driveway.
I didn't
and
do
it
my
melted.
driveway, and now there's a pile of ice at the bottom. But spring training is in full swing for baseball, which I'm excited about.
Full swing.
Full swing. I didn't do that on purpose, but that's a great little
but
dad
it
joke
works.
there.
But it works.
And the NHL is rounding into playoffs, which is,
There we go.
in my opinion, the greatest spectacle in sports is NHL playoffs because you got the physicality, the speed, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, football's interesting in playoffs, but
Yeah.
with one and done, it's kind of like, I love
Right.
the 7-game series is like, these guys are
Like
ticked
you're-
off at each
yeah.
other at the end. It's like they're going for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And in football, it's kind of like, well, they get that kind of, but
Right.
yeah. In baseball, nobody fights. Oh, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. There's some real
There's a few
wingdings
times.
of fighting.
Yep. Not a whole lot, but
No.
there are some instances where people try to throw punches or cleats or kick each other.
My favorite is I'm a big Boston Red Sox fan.
Yep. Well, you know.
And I can't remember, like 2002, there was a giant fight, like a bench clearing brawl between the Red Sox and the Yankees. And it was Don Zimmer was the coach for the Yankees, was like an assistant head coach. And Pedro Martinez was on the mound. And Zimmer came running out. This guy's like 70 years old, really overweight and bald. And Pedro Martinez just like sidesteps him and pushes him on the ground. And it was like, okay.
This is not going to end well for him.
So,
But yeah, it's a good, it's that nice like twinkle of spring that's like it's coming.
yeah,
Sun,
definitely getting there.
yeah.
We had that fake spring for a while where it was like 50 degrees like 3 days in a row.
Yeah, and then we got like
And then we got
2
a
feet
foot
of snow.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's that time of year where stuff's starting to melt and it's getting exciting for the warmth and all that. So
Yes.
yeah, it'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
So today we
Real
kinda,
quick before we get into
Oh.
the topic, I'm going to do the plugs that we need to do because you guys aren't subscribing. We get people watching, which is fine, by the way. We love that you guys are watching. We hope you're enjoying it. We hope that we get to be part of your week at anyway. But if you can, subscribe on YouTube, like the video, or follow us on Spotify or whatever.
Yeah.
I use Spotify just to listen to our podcast, if I'm being honest.
I like it more.
I do like it driving. It's easier
Right.
because I'm not distracted by looking at these beautiful faces while I'm trying to drive.
It is fun. Like Lainey watches it on YouTube though, partially because she usually watches it when Rylan is in the room. So
Does he like watching that?
Yeah, he likes to hear
My
us
kids
talk.
don't care at all. I was like, can I put on our podcast? They're like, no, let's listen to Coco Melon or
Well, Rylan, he's not
Kirby.
there yet. So, but yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, send us an email if you have any questions
Yep,
at
The Hebrew
thehebrew at gmail.com.
And our Instagram is Hebrews Podcast, Hebrews_podcast.
Follow it, like it,
Yeah.
comment. So it'll be good. We love seeing the interactive aspect of people commenting and liking stuff, and not because it's like, oh, we're making it big.
No, it's just
it's still-
we're doing this for everybody to just have some time doing something else.
have some
We're
fun.
enjoying some coffee and hanging out. And
Oh yeah, and we hope you are too. Hope
Yeah.
you are enjoying it. And if
if
you
some-
want, grab some coffee.
grab some
while you're
coffee,
drinking-
yeah,
while you're listening.
exactly. And
That'd
if
be
you want to
fun.
share it on Facebook or whatnot, or if you found it by someone sharing it on Facebook, go ahead and comment. Let us know because
yeah, it'd be cool to know.
they'll tell us what's going on.
Yeah. And if you have any suggestions of like, hey, try this coffee from this place,
Ooh.
like that would be super fun. I know we've really just talked about if you have any unique ways of, or of a cool way of making coffee, but I also think it'd be super fun, like to try a different flavor. Like if you know of,
Recommendations,
a local place or even like a Starbucks blend that, well, I mean, that's a little different because you got to add some flavor, but you get what I mean. And so just send it either to the email or you can drop it in the comments and we'll see it there and kind of
Yes.
work it into our system that is we don't really have a system for coffee flavors. We kind of have a system for topics, but coffee flavors, it's like, hey, what do you want to do today or in next week? And it's like, sure, that sounds good. Let's do it. But anyways, so yeah, send that over. Thank you for tuning in. We're
We
excited.
appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. All right. So this week, as Scott and I both have mentioned, the church lost a pretty dear person in the church who was heavily involved in the worship team, which is where both Scott and I we serve. Like Scott serves there, and that's like where he serves. Because I'm next gen pastor. Like I do a lot more than just the worship team.
I only
also,
do the. I'm just a worship team member.
that sounded bad.
No, it's true.
But no, so it's definitely hit, and it was very, very unexpected.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been taking the church by obviously surprise.
Yep.
And the family by surprise, and so it's been a week. That's why we both kind of said, it's been an emotional roller coaster of a week.
Tough for sure.
Yeah, and so it's not been the most fun, but we also get to celebrate and know that, like, hey, that this past Sunday was his first. There's always the, like, I'm not guessing. Like I'm pretty sure I know where he's at. But this Sunday was his first Sunday celebrating with Jesus, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so we did lose a pretty dear friend, someone that was a mentor to many, a father. My heart breaks for the kids, and just that's the toughest part that I'm struggling with. Is I understand that he's in heaven and his road's clear. His way is he's having a good time. Yeah. But the people he leaves behind is really heartbreaking. Yeah. And what their road ahead looks like. And especially when, like, I've really been thinking through the because I'd heard people say that sudden death, when it's not like self-inflicted and things like that, is like death in total is very difficult regardless. But when you have like an illness that is like cancer or something like that you get stage 4, you get that diagnosis, whatever, and you're like, well, I only have this amount of time to live.
You have that much time to prepare as well.
Right, right. But when it's so sudden and it just catches everyone by surprise, like Pastor Mark and I were, we thought it was like a little bit of a joke at first, which is like, it's not something to joke about, but still, it's like that mindset of like, man, this feels weird. Like this shouldn't be the case. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely is. It's something that, and that's kind of what we want to talk about today. It was just like the different stages of grief, and not that we're at all grief counselors or anything like that. But I do think that, like, we bring stuff to the table that, like, this is one of the first, other than, like, I lost my grandpa and a pretty close friend that was, his family and our family, we, I shouldn't say friend, I mean, technically a friend. We called him Grandpa as well. But then this was like the closest, I guess. I mean, I was close with my grandpa, but this one, I don't really remember much. That still is a blur. Like reading through some of the stages of grief, I'm like, I didn't even remember going through some of these. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're not like counselors at all. We just want to talk about it. Like, it's a very real aspect and dynamic of what we're going through as people who knew him, and weren't like uber close, but we're close.
I mean, you spend every week with a guy.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
we might not have been super close. You know him enough. And when it's such a surprise, and like one day he's fine, you see him, and the next day.
Yeah.
It's tough. And
excuse me.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on you, we're not professional grief counselors or anything, but it always helps to talk to somebody.
Oh yeah.
So if you do need to talk to somebody, find somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
About any kind of grief, not necessarily this if the situation has no bearing on you.
Right.
But if you have a grief or anything, there's people that have been through stuff like this, and it's easier to co-conspire.
Right.
In grief. It's better not to be alone.
Oh yes.
So.
And there's that stage, what is it? Stage 4, which they call the depression stage. Like, and that naturally as we walk through that stage. Like that stage is where I think some people kind of get stuck because if you don't know the 5 stages of grief, this is what they are. So it starts with denial, then anger, then bargaining, which sounds interesting, but we can talk about it a little bit, and then depression, and then acceptance. So denial is just the shock of, no, this didn't happen. He's going to come around the corner, or she's going to come around the corner, like that. Which is like, there is that. Like
this is a stage that I'm not generally used to because, like you, I haven't encountered death too much. It's people that are old and we know they're passing.
Right.
So the shock and denial isn't really there. It's kind of like we knew it was coming.
Right.
It's sad, but it's here. And then we go right next to well, sometimes we even skip 2 and 3 and just get to depression and acceptance.
Yeah, because the anger part kind of gets blended.
Sure.
Gets blended. Stage 1 and 2 definitely get kind of blended together. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen it in my life. Like when I did lose my grandpa, I remember like I was angry. I was mad at God. I was like, God, why'd you take him from me? All those questions. And then the second or the third step, bargaining, I remember, like, it sounds weird talking about bargaining, but it's that idea of like, oh, if I had only done this, maybe they would still be here. Like in the case of, reaching out to somebody, or even like bargaining, like your time, like I vividly remember the last time that I could have talked with my grandpa, but I was a teenager, and I literally remember saying in my head, because my dad had asked me, because they were going down to live with my aunt and uncle in Ohio because grandpa needed some surgery or something, and I told myself in my head, because my dad was like, hey, go say bye to grandpa after church because they're going to be gone for the next couple of weeks because of his surgery, whatever, and so we won't see him for a few weeks. And I said, oh, I'll see him next month. Mm-hmm. And I just ran off with my friends. And so it's that part of the process that, like, I think back to, I'm like, man, if I had only gone and done it, like I could have, and I mean, in hindsight is only 2020. Like, we can look back and think of all the things we could have done differently.
Sure.
But it also gives us an awesome opportunity to not take moments like that for granted. Mm-hmm. And to really, like, be present all the time as much as you can. Like, I like the idea of, 100% being present, but there's also times where, like, life is just tough and you have to have a second to breathe. And unfortunately, sometimes people get pushed to the side, but anyways.
So with me personally, when I feel too many big emotions, my self-defense mechanism kicks in, and I get humorous. I try to make jokes, not necessarily at expense of the bad thing that happens. Right. But for instance, this past Sunday, I saw someone's nice leopard boots, and everyone was feeling all these big emotions and expressing them in their ways. And I said, hey, I need a pair of those boots. And it was like, that's a weird time to talk about these. But that being said, when you were talking about missing that time with your grandfather, I also thought back to, there's a show called How I Met Your Mother. And there's a really serious episode where one of the characters' dads dies suddenly of a heart attack. And he's so upset because he didn't get to say goodbye. He didn't say, I love you for one last time. Mm-hmm. And then at the funeral, he finds a voicemail on his phone. That's the last thing his dad ever did. Oh. And it was a butt dial. Oh. So there was, like, silence. And he's just sitting there so angry and so upset. Yeah. And it's like a 2-minute, like, monologue. And at the end of the 2 minutes, the dad goes, oh, hey, Marshall. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen it. Sorry. He's like, must have butt dialed you there. And he's talking to him. He says, all right, I love you, son. He goes, oh, and don't forget the toenail cream that I left at your house, or something silly. And it was like, the last words my dad said to me were, I love you. And he looks around at everyone like, right? That's what we heard. So, but I mean, it's good to laugh at situations. Yeah. Not at situations, but in situations.
That comes
like
with
this.
The last step of acceptance, is accepting. And the stage of acceptance, like, I feel like when I was reading through these, and I've heard of these before, like, we had some counseling, not like deep counseling classes at North Central, but a little bit. And they walked, because this is one of the biggest things with being a pastor, like you see people as they walk through the stages of grief. But one of the things that they had said and that I read was that, acceptance isn't accepting that it's okay. But acceptance is accepting that, this person is gone, but I'm going to celebrate and accept the time that I was able to have with them.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge part of the grieving process, is realizing, number one, that, going back to the first style, or the first stage, like denial, like they're gone. It's a fact of life. It's a fact of being here in with our frail human bodies.
Sure.
But accepting that, they are gone, but we got to experience this and this and this and that celebration of their life. Excuse me. Instead of, that's why I love the term, and I didn't really pick up on it until fairly recently, where people are starting to have more of a celebration of life service rather than a funeral. And not that like one is better than the other.
Okay.
But the idea of the celebration of life, of like celebrating them rather than, because there is a mourning aspect, which is, everybody understands that. Everybody knows that. Like it's a part of the process. But moving past that, and like what you said, like having somebody to talk to, because that's the biggest thing that anybody, like if somebody's walking through grief today, or whenever you listen to this podcast, and that's all you get is that I need to go talk to somebody, great.
Good.
Because you can't bottle stuff like this up.
For sure.
Yeah. Even if it's, even if like you're mad and if you just want to scream, like that's better than nothing.
Yeah. Get it out for sure.
Yeah.
Don't leave that stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
But what you were saying, the celebration of life, it made me think back to my grandmother's funeral. I must have been 6th grade, maybe 7th grade. And I remember that the funeral part where they're putting her in the ground at the place, everyone was crying. It was sad. But then we went and had lunch, and nobody was crying. Everyone was laughing and having like a huge party. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But that's when I realized, it's not about them being gone. It's about what they did while they were here.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is the part of the grieving where you cry and you miss this person. But then celebrating that time that you were able to have, or the funny thing that they always would do, or stuff like that. Because that lives when you walk through it, and you're able to process through the steps. That's what lives longer and helps you, really. Like that's what helped me get through the loss of my grandpa. Like I didn't get to say goodbye to him. Like and it's terrible. I hate it. I wish there was a different way. But I also get to remember the times that he taught me a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And fishing with him, or playing pool with him, and all these different things that I get to now remember and celebrate and be excited that, hey, I got to do that with Grandpa. And yes, he didn't get to see Rylan. He didn't get to meet Lainey, but I also got a lot of other memories that almost in my mind, it's like, if I focus on the things I didn't get, then I'm neglecting the time and the stuff that I did get.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. And that's my mind works like that. If your mind doesn't, well, sorry, but that's kind of how I see it. And that's how I kind of walk through it, I guess. But so, yeah.
Grief's a big, heavy topic that it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone passing away. It could be a dramatic change in life that sets you through this grief process.
Yep. 100%.
But no matter what, the important part is to make sure you're talking to people, because this stuff is really heavy.
Yeah. And understanding that your emotions are okay.
Everyone has these emotions. Yeah. There's not the 5 stages of grief just because Andrew here feels sad or has gone through grief.
Right.
There are 5 stages because it is very common for everybody to go through these stages.
Yeah.
Some people do not do it the same exact way, for sure.
Right.
And
sometimes one stage will come back.
Yeah.
Like after you've already quote unquote checked it off. Like it because we're emotional human beings, like stuff, it comes back in waves. But remembering, I think the biggest thing is remembering to talk to people and to not try to internally, because you can't internally process something like losing, even like, because like you said, you can get grief from a lot. Like you can start the stages of grief from losing a job or losing something in your life that's not a person, like a dog or a close family pet. Something.
When you turn 40 years old.
Yeah. No, it's like, I mean, you joke. It's a joke, but it's true.
No, there's definitely things like that.
Yeah, but learning how to walk through it with people and talk through it it's so vital.
Yeah,
It's so vital.
And as fathers, we have to teach our children how this is important too.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think of how to incorporate this into teaching it to our kids, and I know RJ is kind of young, but we did talk to Emily and Olivia about the person in our church passing, and they had some questions they didn't understand, and then and then it was like second nature. They're like, "Oh, okay, we get it," but I don't think they fully get it. They're still. It's just one of those things that, unfortunately, I have to keep explaining it, and we'll have to get there eventually. Unfortunately, because that means other people are gonna have to pass away for it to come back up again.
Right.
And
but I mean, the more is caught than taught.
Yep.
So the way that we walk through it, and the way that we process, and not letting, like, spewing our emotions on our kids, because there's the unhealthy aspect of that, but letting them see us struggle, not in a bad way, but in a way of seeing, like, this is how we walk through this.
Yeah.
Like I loved this past Sunday when Pastor Mark was talking about it, and he was very real with, like, what he's walking through.
He was very real, and that was really appreciated, instead of just putting on like a strong face or something.
Yeah, and there's, I mean,
good to see. But good to see. I think you understand what I mean. It was good to see that he wasn't just trying to hide what he was feeling,
right,
and showing that it's okay to be not okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But learning how to walk through that, and ultimately, we understand, like, one of the biggest ways that we can walk through it is leaning onto God. Yeah. There's numerous scriptures that we can go to that we can pick ourselves up, whether we're struggling with depression or struggling with anger and trying to figure out how to do this. Yeah. There is a book that, like, if anybody's listening, or if you ever hear of anybody, one of not really a mentor, but he serves as the Youth Alive director here in Wisconsin and the UP, basically. And what Youth Alive does is they provide those school assemblies. So he does the school assemblies at the schools and all that. But he and his wife, they lost, I can't remember how old their daughter was when she passed away, but she died from SIDS. And so he wrote a book called Suffer Well that just talks about his journey through the grieving process. Sure. And how they walked through, the sudden death of their child that they thought was in perfect health. And unfortunately, I can't even fathom that. But I do know that it is an incredible book that is gifted and, like, helps walk people through. I've recommended it to people, and they've thanked me up and down, saying, "Thank you, that got me through." Yeah. So I know there's plenty of other resources as well out there, but that is one that I know is, like, very solid and has. I haven't, like, personally, like, walked through grief while reading the book. Sure. But I've read the book, and it's just a solid book to remember. Like, in our lives, we'll be in different kinds of settings, whether we feel like we're on the mountaintop or we're in the valleys. But learning how to walk through those times, especially, like, as dads, because I think we can get we as men try to bottle some things up sometimes.
We got to be tough, right?
Right. But remembering that there's little eyes that are not hills, but are watching us, and learning and mimicking, and even, like, students, a
lot of people are watching.
People see.
They look up to people in church.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I don't know why I got on that tangent of Dan Harrod. It's Dan Harrod, by the way. Dan Harrod, and the book is Suffer Well. So if you would like one, look it up on Amazon. I think it's like $10 or so on Amazon, and it's a good book. I really like it, and I suggest it for everybody. But
nice.
Yeah.
So that's grief. Do you have anything more to say on the topic here? If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Send us an email, The Hebrews Podcast.
Yeah. Or if you want to just talk, like, vent. Like, we read the emails.
Yes, we do.
We talk about them just between us, or even if you're like, hey, I want to just address this to Scott. Like, it won't hurt my feelings. Like, it doesn't matter. But we do want to just let you know that, like you said, that we're here to listen. We're here to talk. Like,
we got nothing better to do than drink coffee.
We're not counselors at all, but we like to talk, and we'll
Yep.
Get you some good coffee or something.
There you go. So to end this off on a little more of an upbeat, I know grief is a serious topic and a very heavy topic, and especially as it pertained to us this week and in the following weeks, I'm sure we'll be processing it differently.
Yeah.
There's a phrase that has always been stuck in my head, and it's "good grief, Charlie Brown." And I don't understand good grief.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad per se, but
Right.
like the phrase "good grief," obviously right now I'm thinking of, was it Lucy, right? And
Yes.
she pulls the football out from his feet and he kicks and he misses.
Yeah.
And just any time she'd say "good grief, Charlie Brown," like
I don't know. I'm not really.
I have zero idea. I literally was floating this as like, maybe he knows why I should say "good grief." Is it just a saying in like the 50s? Wasn't he Charlie Schultz?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
good old Charlie Brown.
I mean, good. Yeah, that is weird. Like, it's just one of those words that has multiple meanings and multiple, like, the idea of, like, if I say good grief to you, like, Scott, good grief. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like what?
But that, yeah,
Why?
you're right. Interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
The English language.
Yeah, if you know
Stumps
about
us
it, let us
again.
know, because English doesn't make sense to me. It never did. And I know you were saying that's one of the topics in school you hadn't
No, I did not like English at
not
all.
enjoyed. So.
Hence the reason that I'm struggling to figure out, like, why would it...
Why would good and grief go together?
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you for tuning in.
thank you so much.
We appreciate you, and like
Of course.
Scott said, we understand this was it's a deeper one and it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But we just want to be real and vulnerable, and like I know we didn't go too deep into like where we're at. I think we're processing, and we like I've spent a lot of time talking with Pastor Mark, with Lainey, and just walking through how to do this. But we do know it's a very real and something that a lot of people that are watching that we know of,
Yes.
that are trying to process through.
They're probably, yep.
But we do appreciate you tuning in. And like we said, we've got some pretty fun stuff.
Yeah,
in
you'll
store.
have to check out next week and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a good
And,
time.
Yeah,
I'm
you might be
excited.
surprised.
Yeah.
You might not be.
I hope they're surprised.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
But yeah, we'll be back next week, Thursday morning.
5 a.m. Make sure you check us out.
5 a.m.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll see you on the next one.